It's a Ron Esler, but yeah.
Oh, okay.
I mean,
Just
technically I stole the name from some other kid, so he might still exist somewhere.
theoretically, but it's one of those, if it came down to a toss-up between you and him, I think at this point you are the Ron Esler.
I'll take it, but yeah.
All right. So are we recording?
We are recording.
Okay. Dave! Exclamation mark. Well, the weekly updates are back. The Monday reports are coming in, and it's the first Thursday of the month. Must be time for the final Please Hold for Dave Sim. Yeah, it's hard to believe that we're not going to be doing these anymore, but it's one of those things. It's the final Please Hold for Dave Sim, and we begin with one of us remembering Seiler. You, question mark? Me, question mark? Where's the ringer when we need him? Actually, it's my turn.
Okay.
To remember Jeff Seiler, so that lets you off the hook. And I think, have we talked about his Kansa City Royal book?
A little bit, off and on.
Yeah. That's one of those things that keeps sticking in my mind at the absolute end of Jeff Seiler's life. That would have been a major concern of his, was what was going to happen to that book. I forget what the actual book was. It was like an annual or a yearbook or the definitive history of the Kansa City Royals. And Jeff took it into his head to get an autograph from everybody whose name appeared in the book. Even to the extent of, I think it was Rush Limbaugh was mentioned by somebody in this Kansas City Royal book. And Jeff actually went to wherever Rush Limbaugh was and explained to the receptionist what it is that he was there for and was hoping to get. And she went to wherever Rush Limbaugh was and explained the whole thing to him. And he agreed to sign it, and he signed the book. But Jeff didn't get to meet him. And he said that that was one of the few people who autographed the book, and that he didn't actually get to meet in person. And word spread about this book, I guess, through the Royals organization and through Major League Baseball. And I think that the Royals themselves were interested in having it for their archive, and there was some talk about Cooperstown, where the Baseball Hall of Fame is, that he was. They were interested because he really put in the time and the legwork, getting as many autographs as he could, and then the last year that he was alive, just before COVID-19 hit, he went to Kansas City's Royals training camp, and I think he got a bunch of autographs there as well. So it's one of those, if you've got something like that, obviously, he could have sold it when he was alive and made a lot of money off of it, but it was one of those, no, this is one of the last things that Jeff Seiler would think about selling. But once he wasn't here, then I think he was definitely looking for it to have a good Major League Baseball home. and not knowing what happened with the Jeff Seiler estate per se, I'm hoping that the Kansa City Royal book at least still exists.
I'm hoping it exists, and I'm hoping that somebody knew what it was and it didn't just end up in the Goodwill pile.
Yes. So that's my Jeff Seiler story in terms of, at the tail end of his life, that you'd have to pry that book out of his cold dead fingers. And I know he had a lot of other stuff. He had like autographed baseballs and things like that. And at one time he was talking about me coming there after he died, whenever that was going to take place, and we didn't know that it was imminent, and that I would be I would be attuned to that in terms of even if I don't know what this is, it's definitely got collectible written all over it. So something different is going to have to be done with this, apart from, well, just give it to the Goodwill and we'll call it a day. And had to phone Jeff and say, well, this COVID-19 thing, they've shut the border, and it doesn't sound like they're going to be opening the border. So, but please don't die right now, and please don't die until they do have the border open again. And then that went on for so long, my passport expired, and it's like I'm not going to go in the middle of the great crush to get traveling again in Canada and get myself a new passport. So unfortunately, Jeff, you're going to be on your own in this one. So that's my Jeff Seiler story. You faxed through then something Steve Peters sent in last month at the last minute. And I guess Steve wrote, check out Barry's comment on the picture. Ron Esler should share it with Dave on Please Hold. I'm sure it's good for a chuckle. And then fill you in on this. It looks like it's the penciled Conan number 16 cover. And Barry, I guess, weighed in on this when Mike Dubish and Leonard Peterson were talking about it. And Steve Peters is saying that there's a comment written on the cover by Barry?
No. In the comments where they're weighing in, it's Barry's comment to them.
Right.
That's what Steve's talking about.
Oh, okay. And Barry's saying it wasn't the printer who was complaining, it was the fool at the Comics Code Authority. I wrote him a note asking how many women he knew who had pubic hair on their knee. What was it that they were complaining about? It's the Frost Giant's daughter story, which was in Savage Tales in black and white first, and was a little more risque visually. And then, of course, Barry was having a hell of a time trying to stick to the publishing schedule on Conan. So I think somebody got the idea, well, we'll reprint Frost Giant's daughter in the comic book version, but the comic book version has to go to the Comics Code Authority. So there was a little too much daughter showing for the Comics Code. Is what that's the part of the story that I understand.
What I understand, the actual image, it's somebody owned the original pencils and must have sold it, and somebody else got a hold of it and decided, oh, it would look better if we put all the trade dress on it and you'll make it look like a cover. So that image, it's the original pencils have been inked, if I remember right, or at least tightened up real good, and then somebody slapped all the logos and lettering onto it as a presentation piece. It's one of those things where the guy that Steve found it on just keeps posting Barry Windsor-Smith art. Here's this, here's this, here's this. And so, I had to go back a month and find it. When I finally found it, I'm like, okay. And then I'm looking at the comments. I'm like, the comment that I sent you, I took a screenshot of, but I can't find that comment on the original post. I'm like, I don't know where this is from. I don't know. But it was one of these, Steve shared it to the service group, went, oh, yeah, Dave would be interested in this. And I'm like, yeah. But at the same time, I just sent the fax for November, Steve. You got to get it to me before the Wednesday.
Right. Okay. All right. It's very interesting to look at. I had no idea that Barry did the pencils separately at that time, and then white boxed them or something, and then inked it, because I know he inked the number 16 cover.
Unless that's
which wasn't a guarantee at the time. Saul Seiler inked a fair amount of Barry stuff, and they had a couple of nightmare issues where they had one of those gang inking in the bullpen things, and it's like, oh, please don't gang ink Barry Windsor-Smith. And it was one of the earliest things that P. Craig Russell worked on at Marvel in the bullpen, was being part of this gang inking team on one of the Conan issues, and said he just fervently hopes that his name didn't register with Barry Windsor-Smith, because he would never live down having been part of this team butchery of last-minute inking. But Conan was a best-selling title and a licensed title with all of those requirements going into it. So it's like when it comes down to a contest between art and getting this done and to the printer when it needs to be there, sorry, Art, you're out of business on this one.
I'm not saying it is, but it could be that what I sent you was a preliminary that he did, and sent in for approval, and they sent it to the code, and the code went, oh no, this won't do. It's too salacious, and that's when Barry's comment of, how many women do you know that got pubic hair on their knees?
Right. Yes. If you look at they had a head-to-head comparison. It was like the Frost Giant's daughter had these very wispy, completely transparent veil-like things just hovering around her in the story, and they got widened so that they were covering more Frost Giant's daughter's flesh than were in Savage Tales of Conan. If you look at the original, she was a very hot looking Frost Giant's daughter, which given the age that BWS was at the time, is not really a surprise. You're gonna give them this story, the Frost Giant's daughter, and she doesn't really exist. She's just sort of like a temptation for luring Conan types to their doom. He's going to make sure that she's got all of the allure that is promised in Robert E. Howard's story.